So this episode of One Piece, last week we kind of had the final episode of the Zoe arc, and I'll pose the same question I did a couple of weeks ago. What do you think about the Zoe arc as a whole? Now, at first glance, this episode may seem like a filler episode, and maybe it was, but I really wonder how it really is filler because I get the feeling that Oda was behind this episode for a number of different reasons. So it sets off with this episode with Vivi and the King of Alabasta setting off for the Reverie in Marijoa, taking off from Alabasta, and we get to see Koza, and he's kind of acknowledging the fact that Vivi's acting more like a pirate again instead of a princess. It's the first time we've seen Vivi's post time skip design, so that's kind of cool. Full design to set up the upcoming Reverie. We know that each of the kingdoms are taking part. I mean, it happens every 4 years, where each of the kingdoms of the One Piece world is more or less like the UN of One Piece, where each of the kingdoms are gathered to discuss events. Now we know some of the events, some of the discussions we're going to be getting at the Reverie. This episode kind of confirmed it, and this is why I think Oda was behind a chunk of this episode, because even though it felt like a filler, there were certain parts, certain reveals that we got that have not been revealed yet. But that's not happened in the manga yet, actually. We get to see Stella from Goa Kingdom post time skip, so we haven't seen that. He was supposed to be the replacement to Sabo, so he's going. One of the kingdoms kind of mentions Dungeon Chao, so I'm assuming that's where they're from, alongside Abu. We know Abu's a part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Now, here's the thing: they kind of brought up about the situation with Doflamingo, about the underground market going falling apart because of Luffy and Law. Because now Doflamingo's out of the equation, there's no more underground market. So they're going to bring up something. They're going to talk about that at the Reverie, and I guarantee you, that's going to bring up the discussion about Monkey D. Luffy. I guarantee you. You also get to see Shirahoshi from Fisherman Island, and also King Nechu, and we knew they were going to take part in the Reverie. There's a flashback of the Alabasta arc when it comes to the fight between Crocodile and Luffy. Vivi just smacking the shit out of Luffy, and Luffy's just smacking the shit out of Vivi because of it. We get that scene as well. Some parts of this episode in the flashback looked like there were new animations, so that was cool. And besides, I don't really mind this. If they're going to do episodes like this, I'd rather they do them before Whole Cake Island. Being on the sea, she was reminded about a time with the Straw Hats, and more specifically with Luffy. So that's why she's excited again to be on the sea. Now, here's the biggest part. We get to see the King of Alabasta talking about the conversation he had with Robin about the poneglyph. Well, they're going to bring that up at the Reverie. But here's the problem. Remember, the government are not too keen on the thought of the subject about the poneglyph. And the world government have a shit ton of knowledge. They have a shit ton of information they are keeping from the world. King Netafari brings that up at the Reverie. What do you think is going to happen? Remember what happened in Ohara. So I'm just going to bring that out right now. And that's not going to be the only problem. The other problem is going to be with Shirahoshi, because at first she was like hesitant to go in because she made the promise to Luffy to wait for him and the rest of the Straw Hats, because Luffy promised Shirahoshi he would take her to a real forest. She realizes if she goes, she may miss Luffy coming back. But we know the fact they're going to meet again. In fact, the fact that Shirahoshi's, I guess, decided to go alongside King Nechu, that could be a problem. I'll tell you why in a minute. And the Reverie, and if you noticed in the preview, we see Kureha and Dalton from Drum Kingdom. They're taking part in the Reverie, so we're seeing them in the preview. And I'm not too sure why, but we're seeing Rebecca and King Riku again. And I'm assuming Viola's going to be there as well. It's also important to point out that the beginning part of this episode, at least when it comes to Vivi setting off for the Reverie, and the ending part of this episode with ending with Sunny, with Luffy, that was canon. And not only that, we saw Vivi getting escorted by Hina to the Reverie to Marijoa. So the problem with Shirahoshi is this. Remember, back in Fisherman Island, King Neptune and Robin had a conversation about how Shirahoshi was one of the ancient weapons, Poseidon. Remember, Caribou overheard that conversation. Remember, that wasn't until he got his ass kicked by Peckham. However, he managed to escape, and if the Marines or the government get word of this, Shirahoshi is going to have a whole world of problems. Let's say Caribou, let's not only remember the world government in on this, but or subordinate of Yonko. Let's say that somebody, a subordinate of Kaido, gets word from Caribou that Shirahoshi is one of the ancient weapons. What do you think Kaido's going to want to do? He's going to send somebody to the Reverie to go kidnap her. That's a fact. So that's going to be a problem. And not just that, I said this before, with King Netafari, he wants to know about the poneglyph. If he brings that up at the world government, he's going to get shot. That's a fact. And the fact that he was, he kind of mentioned the fact that he doesn't have long to live because of his health. That wasn't just there for the hell of it. Something major is going to go down in this Reverie, and I truly believe Oda was behind this episode for a number of different reasons. I think he decided to set up the Reverie by having us introduced to each of the kingdoms. Look, we know it's going to take him part, but he did it because as soon as the Whole Cake Island arc is done in the manga, we're headed for the Reverie. So instead of like setting it out, we're going to get the meeting there and then, instead of like having it's introduced to each of the kingdoms. He's going to do that at the Reverie, but seeing all the kingdoms that are going to be taking part, that's the thing I think Oda decided to do in this episode, incorporate before the Whole Cake Island arc begins in the anime. Again, that's just my opinion. It may not be true, but we'll have to wait and see. But it will make a lot of sense in that regard. And the fact that some of these kingdoms were not revealed, they did not appear in the manga, especially in this chapter. So I definitely think that Oda was behind a big part of it, or at least an editor was. We'll have to wait and see. And the last time Oda was a part of an episode, it was the double episode about Sabo. And ironic that we're seeing the ruler of Goa Kingdom attend there as well. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but two problematic problems that can happen at the Reverie. It can involve King Netafari if he brings up the discussion about the poneglyph. And remember, if they get word, if they find out about Shirahoshi being the ancient weapon Poseidon, that can cause a whole lot of problems for different load of people. I get the feeling that Monkey D. Luffy will be brought up in that conversation during the Reverie, but that's just my opinion. But the ending part of this episode was funny as hell. We see each of the Straw Hats passed out. Luffy decided to dive off of the Zoe. I don't know how high that is. This is something I brought up in the previous review. These past few episodes of Zoe, enjoy them while you can. Go back and rewatch these episodes, because we're not going to see all the Straw Hats together, I should say, until Wano. In the previous episode, we see Usopp make adjustments to a new weapon, for a new climate type weapon for Nami. She's definitely going to use that in Whole Cake Island, so that's good. But other than that, after the decent episode, we see Carrot come out from inside the Sunny. She's aboard the Sunny. She's going to join him in their attempt to rescue Sanji from the Whole Cake Island. But other than that, I enjoyed the world building for what it was. It's an aspect of One Piece I can appreciate. It looks like we're gonna get more world building in the next episode, because in the preview we see Koreha and Dalton from Drum Island. We see Rebecca, King Riku, and Viola. I don't think we saw Viola in the preview, but I'm pretty sure she's going to attend the Reverie, so I'm sure we'll see her. As long as we don't get a flashback of Dressrosa, I'm good with that. But we'll have to wait and see. And it looks like we're going to get a major reveal in the One Piece world, so I can't wait for that. As we get closer and closer to the Whole Cake Island arc again, I don't know how many episodes we're going to get before we enter Whole Cake Island. I'm assuming we're going to get a new opening pretty soon too. So, but that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.